Welcome to our In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's director of simulcasting, Jim Goodman, and we are doing a pair of simulcasts, or a pair of podcasts for this simulcast Saturday, because we've got a big Breeders' Cup preview weekend in New York and one in Southern California. So this one is focusing on the Cardiff Stakes races at Belmont Park. And you can check our other one for the stakes races and our picks at Santa Anita. But let's start, Jim, with Belmont, and we will take a look at Race 5, which starts a string of graded stakes races, almost all of them Grade 1s, and it's the Grade 1 Beldame, Royal Delta, the big favorite there against the Oaks winner and Alabama winner, Princess of Sylmar. What did you do?
You got a great 5-year-old mare against a possibly great 3-year-old filly. When everything else is equal, you go with a 5-year-old mare. I can't see Royal Delta not being the big favorite here, but Princess of Sylmar looks so good in the CCA Oaks in Alabama at Saratoga. If she likes Belmont as much as she likes Saratoga, she may give Royal Delta all she wants, especially if Lady Kahiba goes with Royal Delta and tries to pressure her on the lead. Royal Delta gets out there and controls the pace, she's probably going to win. If Princess of Sylmar were up around 7-2 or 4-1, I might take a shot with her instead of Royal Delta at 3-5. But I think Royal Delta is going to be the prohibitive favorite here.
Yeah, I think Royal Delta is the favorite, and that's why my pick that I wrote for the Weekend Warrior blog is Princess of Sylmar. She'll be a better price, and I can't see anything but making a win bet in this race if you want to play it. No use working with exactas because it'd be too much risk for too little return. But Princess of Sylmar, I think, as the improving 3-year-old, might be able to take down the champion. I'm not 100% convinced that Royal Delta is as good this year as she was last year, and maybe Princess of Sylmar could get her. So I'm going to take Princess of Sylmar, but to be honest, it's not a race I'd probably bet. I'd just watch and enjoy the battle between those two. Sixth race is the Grade 2 Kelso, and this has a horse named Gradar that is coming back off a long layoff for Todd Pletcher, has a class edge, and to me, he's working well. This looks like a spot where Pletcher's got this guy pointed to the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and this is the prep, and he ought to fire good off the layoff and then head on out to Santa Anita is my read of this race. So Gradar to win for me, and then I would use him in exactas with Jackson Bend and Super Speedy. What about you?
I'm going to try to beat him simply because he's only run 5 races. He's 4 years old, and he's run 2 races this year, one on the 9th of February, one on March 30th. I got to believe he needs this race. And his last 2 races were 1 mile and 1/8. He's shortening up to 1 mile. I just don't like him at what's going to be a short price. I'm going to take a shot here at Super Speedy, simply because Super Speedy won at 7 furlongs last time out at Saratoga. Ought to really like the mile distance. I just have a feeling that Gradar might be a little bit short and won't be much of a price, and I'm just going to try to go against him. I don't have a real good reason other than I'm going to like the price of Super Speedy. I'm going to throw out Jackson Bend. He ran a lot better last time, but it was in the slop. It doesn't look like they're going to get rain at Belmont this weekend. So I'm going to take Super Speedy in a cold exacta over Gradar, hoping he's a little bit short.
7th race is the Vosburg, and it begins a streak of 4 consecutive Grade 1s. And this was a really tough one to come up with a strong opinion on. Where did you land?
I went back and forth a number of times when I handicapped this one last night. I liked 40 Tails in the King's Bishop, and he didn't really run his race. He was 19 lengths out after a half mile, and I just got to believe that he's better than that. And they're switching up. Le Peru didn't do well on him after taking over for Rosario, and they're going to Castellano, and I just have a feeling I like 40 Tails. He went off as the favorite, the King's Bishop, and literally didn't run a step. I'm going to throw that race out, and I'm going to say that he's going to come back here and run well in the Vosburg. Strapping Groom looks good, especially if he gets an easy lead. I don't think he will here. And Justin Phillip, if he runs back to the Vanderbilt, wins this for fun. So it's a great race. I think this is one that you've got to go deep in if you do the late pick fours or this is part of a pick 3. This is not part of the late pick 4.
Yeah, it actually starts with
but
the
I
8th.
think 40 Tails is my pick, but I could go for Justin Phillip. I could go for Bohemian Squall. I could go for Strapping Groom. And the Lumber Guy, all he did was almost win the Breeders' Cup Sprint last year, and he won this race a year ago. So he needed his race last out, so I can make the case for him. A lot of possibilities here.
I almost went with the Lumber Guy, and then the more I went back and looked at that last race, I just didn't like that. And I know it was off a layoff, and he could certainly improve. And I guess I've came to the opinion that he'll beat me if he does. I'm going to go against him. And I ended up coming to Justin Phillip. He seems to be he's been solid, but this seems to be maybe his best year at an advanced age, and he's at his best distance, and he loves Belmont and working faster than is typical for an Asmussen trainee. So I ended up coming to Justin Phillip. I would key him in exactas with Bohemian Squall and Strapping Groom and not feel real confident about this one. Eighth race is the Grade 1 Flower Bowl, and you've got Laughing, who had a couple of really big wins up at Saratoga. I think would be the favorite here. I ended up not liking the favorites. Laughing, I know the last race was a real strong speed bias that aided her. Now, the previous time, not so much, but I'm just going to look for value here, and I ended up coming to a trio of horses, one trained by Mott, two trained by Emotion, and I have a good sense one of these three will win it. So what I'm actually going to do is just box the three of them. White Rose, Queasy, and Valiant Girl. Have to pick somebody for a win bet. If I do, I would lean to White Rose. She was going against the anti-closer bias last time at Saratoga, so White Rose is the pick. But the bet really that I wrote up for the Weekend Warrior blog was a 3-horse exacta box, 4, 7, and 6, or 7 being White Rose, and so 7, 4, 6. What about you?
I like Queasy. I like Grand Motion, and I like, even though she's moving way up in class off a $100,000 stakes win, she looked very good at Saratoga, winning the YS Stakes. Beat Mystical Star in there. I can make a case against some of the other horses. I don't think Mystical Star is going to beat her. I don't think Channery can beat her. I don't think Somali Lemonade is as good as she was a year ago. Laughing is the one that I would box with Queasy, simply because I wasn't convinced she was good enough to come back after winning the Diana on a front-running score. She came right back and won the Boston Spa and held off a pretty good mare and Pianist, and I was very impressed with her last race. So I'm going to box Laughing with Queasy, and hopefully I will get a nice little exacta.
Ninth race is the Grade 1 Joe Hirsch Turf Classic at 1.5 miles on the turf, and from everything I've seen, it's supposed to be dry up there in New York this weekend, so it should be firm turf. Where did you go here?
Well, this one's easy. I just got through watching Kenneth Ramsey win races at Kentucky Downs with horses that really shouldn't win. He is so hot. There's no way in the world I'm betting against Big Blue Kitten here. I'm gonna get on the Ramsey wagon, probably a little bit late, but I think that based on the last couple races, the Sword Dancer, he was very, very impressive running down Twilight Eclipse and Nutello. I like Twilight Eclipse in that race, and I'm convinced now that whatever Ramsey's drinking or selling or whatever, I need to bottle it because he is so hot, and all of his horses running well. I'm gonna take Big Blue Kitten. He even put a horse in here. Joe's Blazing Aaron is his other horse, and that horse is gonna make absolutely sure that Imagining doesn't get away with a easy lead. So I think everything sets up for Big Blue Kitten here. I'm gonna take Boisterous and Twilight Eclipse behind. I think they also have big shots, but going with Mr. Ramsey again.
He is quite a handicapper as well. Loves to play the races as well as his ownerships. And I did an interview with him, and the story is going to be in the opening weekend program at Keeneland. So just a tease for that. It's hard for me to pick against the Ramsey entry, and here I'm seduced by a value play that I've going to make it here, and that's Little Mike. Kind of a last chance here for at least this racing year with Little Mike. I haven't really been on him in his last two starts, but a friend of mine's a friend of the connections of Little Mike, and they were really high on him in the Arlington Million. He really didn't run bad, being about 4 lengths, I think. And this is his third off a layoff, so if he's going to hit a peak, he could certainly be in this spot. and he showed in the Breeders' Cup Turf last year that he could sit off a lead, and King Kreesa sets the pace in here. Little Mike sits just off of him, and if he's good enough, then if he's back to last year's form, then he could win this. And so for me, it will be, I'm going to take Little Mike to win in place as far as a straight bet, but then I would do an exacta box with the Ramsey entry and a smaller one with Little Mike and Slumber. But I really think that the Ramsey entry is the one to beat, and Little Mike might be the only one that I could see doing it on his best day. So I'm going to take a shot for the value play there on Little Mike. But I'd use the Ramsey entry and Little Mike both if I'm playing doubles into the last race on the sequence of Grade 1s, and that's the 10th, the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. The 3-year-olds against the elders in here. You got the Derby winner, Orb, the Belmont winner, Palace Malice, taking on a good field of older horses with cross traffic in here, flat out. How did this one shake out for you?
This was tough. And I got to where I looked at it, and the Derby winner may be the 4th or 5th choice in the betting here. You're going to get, obviously, cross traffic's going to get a lot of play. Flat Out has won this race the last 2 years, going for 3 in a row. And, Palace Malice is going to get a lot of play off a great Travers run. And I think Orb may be the fourth best horse in here. But I'm between Orb and Cross Traffic, and I'm going to go with the older horse because I think Cross Traffic has run 3 incredible races in a row. They gave him a little time off after the Whitney to get ready for this race. And I'm just going to take him because he just has shown so much guts in just barely losing a Flat Out, barely losing to Sahara Sky, and then coming back and winning the Whitney last out at Saratoga. So I'm going to take Orb behind him because I think Orb's Travers was really good. I knew Orb would be short for that race. I did not bet him in that race. Will Take Charge has made him look better because he came back and won the Pennsylvania Derby the other day. You can make a case for Palace Malice. You can make a case for Flat Out. You can make a case for Alpha, but I think Alpha just loved the slop at Saratoga in the Woodward. So I'm going to take Cross Traffic on top of Orb in this one, but not with a lot of confidence.
I think one of the 2 3-year-olds is going to win this, and to me it's almost a toss-up. And because of the price, I ended up going with Orb for the win. I think you're right. I think he could drift up just a little bit. And I think 1.25 miles may be his best distance. I mean, he looked awfully good in the Derby and then really ran a nice race considering the layoff at the 1.25 mile distance in the Travers. So I think it might be his best distance. And he should improve off that start in the Travers, off the layoff. So I'm going to take Orb, but I would want to be live to both him and Palace Malice in any horizontal wagers. And then for the exacta, I would take the 2 3-year-olds over the 2 3-year-olds plus Flat Out. I'm going to take a shot against Cross Traffic just because of the distance. He looked like he was tiring at the end of the Whitney. Speed's always dangerous, but I'm going to take a stand against him for that reason and play the other 3. And it's going to be a great day of racing up at Belmont Park. We'll see if it leads to any Breeders' Cup winners. Jim, best of luck to you and to all our followers. And a reminder that if you want to get our picks for the Santa Anita races, there's a separate podcast of the In the Money podcast for Santa Anita for this particular weekend. So you can check that out. And best of luck this weekend, whether you're at Keeneland or at Belmont or sitting at home. Good luck.